It's Tammuz, July. We're in the 3 weeks between the straits. The world seems to be going nuts. But other than that, how's your day been so far, Mike? It's Hanoch here, calling from Modi'in.
There you go, the lockdown city of Modi'in. Wow, great place to live inside your house. Not able to go anywhere except for the gym. No, it's not a gym, it's an exercise studio. I know that. Yes, because I keep up with current events. It is what it is. The world, to say the world is going nuts, I think is a little bit of you kind of missed the boat because it's already gone and is bringing forth full-grown trees, nut trees. So there's not a lot of, it's amazing. Every time that our dog, Kaya, who you love and totally loves you, that's why she barks at you so much. She goes to the dog park once in a while. Every time I go there and pick her up, I'm thinking there's more sense in that dog park than there is in the local Walmart.
Yeah, just a point of correction for those listening. Israel is not on lockdown yet.
Yeah.
But our health minister, Yuli Edelstein, said that if the numbers don't improve immediately, like in the next 3 to 4 days, there'll have to be some kind of lockdown. He said, unless there's a miracle.
Yeah.
Wonder of wonder, miracle of miracles. If the government takes its eye off the ball and concerns itself with other things, like keeping the prime minister out of jail, things happen.
You just never know, do you? Well, we're getting interesting reports here that I heard yesterday that clinics are showing 100% positive rates of COVID, which I don't think that's actually possible. So, it goes back to a very, very common problem here that the answer to most things in a corrupt world is money and power. And so when you incentivize a clinic with money to show a higher positive rate, well, guess what might just happen?
They're so greedy and so stupid simultaneously. Why give 100% positive rate? Give a 92% positive rate, 86% positive rate, something that's a little more plausible.
Yeah.
But no,
got to get every dollar there is. Well, hey, let's not look at the rear view mirror or even the side mirrors today. Let's look through the windshield, and
let's do it.
You and I have been looking at a verse. This is a verse that's very common for all of us. I think it's one that I've looked at personally and have been intrigued by for many years. And that is the verse of Isaiah chapter 2, which says, the Torah will go forth from Zion, the Devar, the word, from Jerusalem. That you talked about that last week. We started discussing this a little bit. What has intrigued you? What part of this is kind of come forth right now for you?
Okay, well, one of the things is the strong feeling here in Israel is that we are in, and now when I say a strong feeling, it's evidenced in certain religious literature among the quote-unquote Orthodox population. I am not referring to the ultra-Orthodox population. The national religious rabbis are speaking about this as the beginning of the end of days. Now, that's not, huge in and of itself, although I think it's pretty big. But the question then becomes, because, a number of rabbanim, of rabbis, have given warnings to Jews outside of Israel that they really should be getting their acts together. Anti-Semitism is on the rise. It's not going away. Come home while you can. So if you think that eventually any of the Jews that want to live here will, I'm less convinced, but okay.
Yeah.
To whom is the Torah going to be going forth to? Who's out there? Which leads us into Ephraim, quote unquote, those joined to Hashem as well, and more Zionist leaning Christians for whom the Hebrew roots of their faith are resonating in their heart. They themselves don't feel even remotely that they're part of Israel per se, but they feel joined in, whether it's within the Christological concept of being grafted in or whatever it is. This is all part of the mix.
Okay.
Now, the concept within rabbinic literature has always been that even in the time of Mashiach, of the Messiah, of the final redemption, the wolf is laying with the lamb, there are no wars, the exiles are ingathered, the temple's rebuilt, that the Torah is being taught throughout the world.
Yeah.
Why? Because the world needs to hear that. Not in a proselytizing sense, but that the world will reach a point where they will say, it's very much like the Ruth Naomi conversation of like, hey, it's come to my attention that God is with all y'all,
Yeah.
and I hear you make great sweet tea, so I want to be part of the party. Because most of the world today, if you use the term Torah, they have no idea what you're talking about. I found that over the last year in particular, as I was guiding a lot of Europeans who are here only for a couple of days, these are people who are generally not at all religious Christians. They grew up in a very, in a sense of they are Christian by lineage, not by practice or necessary belief. They had never heard the expression. I'm sorry, it got garbled there.
Kind of like Jews by birth, but not practicing in any way.
Exactly. It's kind of like, it's kind of like I wound up with brown eyes. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's good or bad, but it just is what it is. So yeah, very, very much so. So they never heard the term Torah, even though more people around the world who have no lineage or no Jewish linkage whatsoever were studying the same weekly Torah parsha, Torah portion that you and I are studying at the exact same time, ranging from Peru to Indonesia to all the way. It is one of the signs that we're living in a very special era.
I relate this, Hanoch, to a phrase that I think I was the one that came up with the phrase that Israel in the millennium, in that time of Isaiah 2, begins to take on their garden purpose. Now, let me explain the two words, the garden purpose. When we see in Bereshit of Adam and Hava are created, Adam is told, even before Hava is revealed to Adam, that they are to go forth, be fruitful, and multiply, and fill the earth.
Right.
And so the rules, the environment the all that is in the garden is to not just stay in the garden, but was to go forth into the world, so that when Adam and Hava had children, that which their children were taught would then go into the rest of the world and fill the world. So there was a garden purpose. I see
I
that
totally
same
agree.
thing with Israel, that in the millennium, the Torah will go forth from Mount Zion. The word from Yerushalayim is that Israel is now fulfilling her garden purpose. Does that line up with where you're at?
Very, very, very much so.
Okay.
And it's really a sense that at that time, our society here in Israel will be a model for care and I'm kind of losing the words in English, losing the words in Hebrew too at the same time. But it's a sense that a model of social justice and of how a society should operate, and how people should treat each other. So it's not just some, lofty study hall, but rather a living laboratory.
So that is basically what we see happening around us today, is the battle for which one of those systems. Will it be the what is being portrayed as something of racism, but is truly Marxism, which I personally believe that Marxism is demonic? Will it be that system, or will it be the system of Hashem, which is the Torah? So that's when we see the world events. To me, it all comes down to, this is the battle that's raging before us today.
The sect that lived at the Dead Sea, in their writings spoke about a war between the sons of light and the sons of darkness.
Mm-hmm.
The world is engulfed in this, and you probably don't see it any more clearly anywhere else in the world than in the United States of America. America is in a battle now for its soul. And as someone who spent most of his life in America, who was an American, who loves America, as I do, it's deeply disturbing. And it is a time when people should spend less time on Facebook and more time in the book.
Yeah.
It's really a time of faith, of families, of congregations, of fellowships, before Ephraim can be part of the nation of Israel. Ephraim in America has got a two-front war.
True. Yeah, I got that. Wait, let me ask you a question. I have not, I've never been able to get an answer to this. So I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. I didn't give you.
Okay, I'll make one up.
Okay, very good. Hey, you can do that. So the intriguing part of the verse to me, and maybe we have to come back to this another time. The intriguing part is, I know that Scripture is written in a very poetic nature many times. And that poetic nature is to repeat something, but in a different way. But is in the repeating of it, you're actually bringing forth another concept. So the wording here of Isaiah, the Torah, the written document of the Torah, will go forth from Mount Zion, And then it says the devar. It does not use the word Torah, it uses the word devar, and which is, to me, a different level of Torah, will go forth from Yerushalayim, which is a plural word. Now, I mean, I'm telling you things you already know there, but have you thought through that of why it's laid out like that?
You know, it's funny. My focus on that has been to serve as yet another proof text of Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, the eternal capital of the people of Israel. This centrality that it's not going to be like, you know, an alternate temple in, let's say, for the sake of argument, hypothetically speaking, in Salt Lake City or in Missouri or any place. So, but by you saying that, what immediately clicked in my head is when you say the Torah to people, they think of all the mitzvot, all the commandments.
Okay.
It's kind of thou shalt not. The Dvar Hashem, the words of God, I see could be interpreted perhaps as the explanation of how to live with that. How do we in our society today, particularly outside of Israel, we're basically, I've traveled in parts of the US where they even had bacon flavored ice cream. We're in Southeast Texas, I got a vegetable salad, I guess only in the Republic of Texas where they have to call a salad a vegetable salad, but okay. And they had these bacon bits on it. And I said, but I asked you, no meat. You said there was no meat. I said, sir, that's not meat, that's bacon. I said, well, what's bacon? She said, well, that's just seasoning. So, it's a sense of you can know what's right and what to eat, but how do you survive in a society that doesn't operate under those rules?
Okay. You've heard me teach on John, the book of John, chapter 4, there at the well at Harbor Ka when we take our groups there.
Yeah.
And there's an interesting word that said is that the Father is looking for those that would worship in spirit and in truth. And so let me just run this by you. Again, when we see the word, the Torah, it is to me that document that we can hold in our hand. And that is going forth from Zion. I won't get into all that, maybe another week. But then the Devar, going forth from Yerushalayim, which is, Yerushalayim is talking about a spiritual and a physical realm. So could it be that what you're saying right there is that not just the written document of the commandments, but the halakha, the spirit, the walking out of those commandments will go forth, not just in a physical manner, but in a spiritual manner, the two realms coming back together, which is, by the way, as you know, what is said that Adam and Eve, before the fall, they did not see a line between spiritual and earthly realm. When they looked into the world, they saw both at the same time. And
right.
So this is, to me, the kingdom is about the realms coming together and us not compartmentalizing these things anymore. Does that go along with where you're at?
Could very well be. Could very well be. We could go on and on and on with this conversation. What to me is fascinating is like people who are watching this are probably saying, okay, well, so what's my takeaway? Your takeaway is going to be, there's always going to be Torah coming from Yerushalayim. That's how you'll know what's authentic or not. I get questions all the time from people saying, Hanoch, I'm sending you a YouTube this teacher, and I don't really know what to feel. I mean, essentially, as I've proven, any idiot with a camera can make a YouTube video.
Thank you.
That in itself does not, I didn't say Vimeo, I said YouTube.
I'm on YouTube now, okay?
See, I was busy reading right to left. I hadn't gotten to that part in the memo yet. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's in other words, just having a video does not make you an authority. And I gave the example last week in our message about people putting out videos about, all kinds of stuff going on here in Israel that just didn't happen. Didn't happen. By the way, for those who are wondering why we're not talking about sovereignty, these so-called annexations, because it's off the table. Everyone's trying to forget it because it was never meant to happen. But that's another story. We'll save that for another day.
Yeah, the sovereignty, the reason we're not talking about it is because it was irrelevant when they announced it, and it's irrelevant today. Because, as you said, it is not happening. It's not there.
And if people want to know more about it, we at the end of every of our recordings, we always write to me.
Yeah.
Kol Yehuda, KOLYEHUDA.com.
Just to spring forth from that sovereignty, that sovereignty thing is as much smoke and mirrors as the embassy has been moved to Jerusalem. I had breakfast with someone the other day, very knowledgeable person, been to Israel. I'm not in any way judging them, but if you haven't gone and seen that the embassy in Jerusalem is basically a placard on a wall and a room, one room that has a desk that nobody's there at. But yeah.
Mike, I've warned you before. Please don't confuse the issue with facts. Please.
I know. It's just, I mean, next you'll be telling me that it's not really the West Bank and it's not really the Wailing Wall, and that, you'll be telling me crazy things like that, right?
And I'll probably also tell you that the Trump deal of the century is probably good for Israel because it was written by a bunch of Jewish guys in America.
Yeah. Well, there is something that this week's Torah portion that we're looking at. This is a double Torah portion of tribes and stages. And in that Torah portion, we see the biblical boundaries of Israel. How much larger is Israel than what Israel is today?
Okay. There is a difference of opinion of whether we go into the middle of the Sinai or to the Nile River. I prefer the Nile because I'd like to go in for a dip. It's kind of hot here. North, we go pretty far up. Eastward, we've got, much of Iraq, Jordan, and Saudi Arabia. You have to understand, we've got all these Ephraimites in the Republic of Texas, and they want to come to Israel, but they don't want to give up the idea of having a ranch. So we gotta get a lot more land for them. It's someone said to me the other day, why doesn't Israel go in those lands? And it's always, we in Israel here feel really uncomfortable when people essentially are saying, I have a biblical or prophetic fantasy that I want to see fulfilled. Go ahead and spill the blood of your children and make it happen.
Yeah.
When the time is ready, when things are ripe, It will happen.
Yeah. I mean, considering in that day, we've seen a partial fulfillment of these things. The desert shall bloom like a rose. Yes. The Arava, the Negev, the fruit that's coming out of those deserts is a partial fulfillment. But considering that, I've been into Jordan, I've been over toward Petra and Amman and different places. As I said on my weekly teaching, going to Jordan it really makes Western Kansas look exciting. There's just not a whole lot going on there. And to consider that in that day, that desert will bloom like a rose. Why? Because Ephraim, Yehuda are working together. We have our Yochanan Ayala factory there.
That's the John Deere.
The John Deere factory, yes. Instead of it being green and yellow, it will now be blue and white. Who knows? Maybe I'll own that factory. I've got this kind of a thought in my mind. At least I get to go test drive them, which would be fine. I can run into fences on a tractor as well as anybody can. But for us to be able to
teach you how to do that too.
Yeah, yeah, guys. Hanoch has never even used a push mower, so we will be able to go to a whole new level when we do the first video. Hanoch Young drives the Yochanan Ayala for the first time. And can you say Green Acres is the place for me?
Okay, let's take it to before we wrap up.
Bring us back.
I just posted a meme on Facebook in the last day. The quote from Yeshayahu, Isaiah 11:13, when it speaks of that day when Judah and Ephraim will no longer envy each other and vex each other, etc., etc. I just want to be clear about that. That's not a God thing. That's an us thing. It's on us to make it happen. In our lives, in our interaction, and in our daily walk, we're the ones to build the brotherhood with the brothers and sisters of this soon-to-be most incredible family reunion of all time.
Yeah. As much as you can stand there and we have, our two grandchildren boys of our youngest son. You've been over here when they're here, and I've built them a sandbox. So they go down in the sandbox, and Grandpa Sir can say, you two play together nicely. I can do that as many times as I want. But at some point in time, they have to make a decision to play nice in the sandbox together.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I can hear the father yelling at us, play nice in the sandbox, play nice in the sandbox, share your toys, have fun together. But until we make that decision to do it, it's not going to happen. It doesn't happen.
Agreed.
All right. Well, hey, what's it like 145 degrees in Moda'in today or something?
No, I think it's barely over 100, but it's as we in the summer, when I'm guiding people, those days.
Yeah. So
God willing, it'll happen again soon. But
yeah.
I tell people, when you're in Israel in the summer, don't waste your time listening to our weather reports. It's either sunny and hot, sunny and very hot, or sunny and extremely very hot. Which, by the way, is why we have our Connect to Israel tour in October and November 1st through the 13th this year.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it is warm, but it's the summer. And the other comment that we make about the weather, I'll teach you in Hebrew. We say, "No es bueno." This is not good. For those of you who are thinking, "Wait a minute, that sounds a little familiar," it means you're practicing your Hebrew and you're doing very well. And Hanoch is very proud of you.
Yes, no doubt, because Hanoch is not only very fluent in English and Hebrew, but his Spanish. Wow. Now you want to have some stories. I can
That's
tell some
a treat.
stories.
That's a treat, man. But for another day.
Only for those that go on our Connect Israel tour. We're having
Right.
watermelon ice cream, and Hanoch is telling us about the wonders of Hanoch Young Spanish lessons, all for the same
That's
price.
right.
Okay. All right, brother. Take care, and
Amen.
we'll talk soon.
Here,